And welcome to another episode of Stripping Down D&D with your host Typo and Tom. But Typo looks a little different tonight. Welcome, Doc Norman.
What's up?
And of course, Tom looks way different tonight because he's more beautiful. And if you don't know me, I'm Doc. I'm the owner, sole proprietor of Bros and Dragons Incorporated, the company that brings you the Bros and Dragons podcast and Stripping Down D&D. Tom sends his apologies. He's having internet problems again. Apparently some broadband whores moved into his neighborhood. But we will continue with what he's got tonight, and we will pretend to do what we do. I mean, we know exactly what we're talking about. We got this. So, what's our topic tonight?
Stripping down the barbarian.
Oh, yeah. Because those are hot. Wait, what?
Hey, I'm telling you.
All right. So, stripping down the barbarian. Where do you want to start? I don't know. I watch these. I'm a big fan of Tom's work.
I figured going where they fit in the group because every class kind of has their role. So
Oh.
I think when you look at the barbarian and raw stats, they're definitely the striker of the group.
They run around naked too. That's always a plus.
I guess
You ever played a barbarian before?
I haven't yet, but I've been with a guy who played a barbarian, and his basic algorithm was, I'm gonna punch it. Does it die? I'm gonna punch it again.
After it's dead. Oh, I needed to ask that some questions. Well, we'll get into the nitty gritty. I mean, as far as I know about barbarians, the first thing you want to do after you roll out your stats is put your highest number in strength. Your second highest, I think, is con. And that's if you're doing like a what they call book build, straight out of the book, quick grab.
Yeah.
I like to start reverse. I like to put my smallest number in intelligence when I play barbarians.
That definitely makes sense.
They're a lot more fun that way. I hope Keith can show up tonight. He's got a cool barbarian, Crondo. I wish Tom was here too. Tom has the, in my opinion, best barbarian ever, and that is Grok. And that's saying something, because I've seen some good barbarians out there, but there's nothing like hearing that Grok no like right before he hits something. All right, so breaking down. You were reading a little bit before. What hit you? What struck you? What moved you, Doc?
Well, the fact is that when you look at the hit dice, they're getting 12 hit dice per level. I mean, that's extraordinary. And Constitution being one of their kingpin stats, that's only going up. So at first level, they're already pretty formative, high strength. They already get hot unarmored defense. They get 2 rages at first level, so they're at least good for an encounter or two before they gotta take that knee, face out, and drink water to recoup.
You forgot to change your socks. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, pop some Motrin.
So I know the book says they're proficient in armor, but from my understanding, barbarians, you don't want any armor.
Well, you would kind of there's a couple ways to build. There's the running around the battlefield naked, laying down hate and discontent, and there's probably the more focused, coming up to an enemy, cleaving it, moving into the next one, being able to take some damage, kind of sustaining that. I've actually heard of players actually calling out, like, I need you to do a called shot for 1 point of damage, so that way I can continue this rage for X amount of time. So they willingly take damage from their allies, so that way they can continue to move forward.
It reminds me of 4E, where you got like you hit harder if you were bloody, or less than half your hit points. So people would be like really close and they'd cut themselves with whatever weapon they had, or that was a lot of fun to watch too. So like always with every kind of character building, I don't think Tom's ever really got into this. When you're building a character, the D12 is awesome right off the bat that he's talking about, because the first set of hit points that you get is the max that you could possibly roll, which is 12 plus your Constitution modifier at level 1.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, you're probably sitting somewhere 13 to 16, I would guess. And most people are starting at like 9, 10, 11. So that's always a boon.
I mean, you're looking at some of the races, like dwarves get a +2 to their constitution. Humans will get that 1, but the other part that I like is if you're playing a variation of a human, you can rock a feat at that point.
Oh yeah. Plus the two common saving rolls that you get advantage and your proficiency with the strength and con. I mean
Yeah.
that I can't see anything better unless somebody's throwing a fireball.
Even then, you're pretty much just like, I'll eat this fireball.
Yeah, especially raging or whatever. So
Yeah.
they do have the rage concept, but we'll get to that point. I think at first level they learn the unarmored defense.
Yeah.
So that's what I was talking about earlier. So you want to talk about something amazing? As long as they're not wearing any armor, they get 10 plus their dex modifier plus their con modifier. And I've seen barbarians just right off the bat be hard as hell to hit. 18 higher, 16, somewhere around there, just right off the bat from that. And wearing nothing but a loincloth. Some of them I've seen, their characters are in kilts. But the loincloth is my favorite.
Yeah. And then you've got certain magical things like amulets and whatever that can actually continue to raise that. But yeah, putting on armor for them would just be counterproductive at that point. And then you fly into your rage and you're getting resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. It's like even if you do hit me, I'm not going to eat that much of it.
Yeah, Tom's character is a higher intelligence human barbarian on the podcast. And I remember we were playing one time and Tom was just like, I was like, you take 13 points of damage. He's like, I'm raging, and I would appreciate to only take half of that. I love the barbarian concept. I'm not in any RPG game that I ever play, even Dungeons and Dragons. I've never been a big in your face, just hit them, slash and tank and spank, slash, and I can't remember what the second one is that rhymes, but so I love the barbarian. I personally need to play one. I'm just gonna say it that way. I think I need to build one. I need to get into a game with one. I always read the books as a DM. We just get into that kind of stuff, but I really need to start breaking it down. Now you said you had somebody that you were playing with that played a barbarian, right?
Yeah.
How'd that go? What was his experience as a barbarian?
He did pretty good, but like I was saying, he did the whole strength is my first stat, con is my second stat. And then he kind of figured out that like once everybody else kind of got into their swing, I mean, once you rage, you can only sustain that for so long, and then we usually wipe the encounters. So he started out as being like this kingpin, like instrumental, like drew aggro, made sure that everybody was focused on him, and let a lot of the squishier spellcasters kind of do their thing, and the sneakier rogues kind of hide out. But then once we kind of got into our own, and we were like, oh well, I'm getting higher level spells, I'm throwing those out, I'm able to augment what he has. We would end up taking out the ranged people for him, so that way he could rage into like large groups of enemies. We just kind of understood how his mechanics work, and that's also going by knowing how to like run a group. if you're running a group of people from first level up, after a while you just kind of figure out how each other's powers work. Kind of like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. There's not a lot said, but they were all up at each other. They were like, all right, I know this person's going to do this. I'm going to know this person's going to do this. So they kind of ebbed and flowed that way, and it was pretty good. And then once he found an amulet that raised his charisma to 18, he was like, I'm going to put Bart in there, so that way well, think about it. He had stuff like healing word as a bonus action, is instrumental. Like punch somebody in the face, get hit in the side with a spear, and just be like, oh, I'm going to shake this off and be like, all right, cool. You've now gained X amount of hit points back as a bonus action. I mean, there's not a really lot of bonus actions that you can take that are going to kind of keep you in the fight at that point. So having the ability to cast a couple spells that did not require concentration while he was raging was good. And then I think he was looking at taking the leader perk where he could talk to people for 10 minutes and give them temp HP. So that temp HP stacked onto all that stuff before a major battle kind of helped out a little bit as well.
So Tom says that they could also just punch your allies to keep your rage going. Of course, that would be Tom's response to this.
Well, I'm kind of remembering now the Avengers where Hulk like smashed Thor in the side of the face, and just kind of shrugged it off, just like, all right, let's keep this going.
Yeah, I like the aspect in the battle though. They definitely keep more attention on them because they're usually loud, obnoxious, daring. Pardon my reach. You see me do this a lot. I have a barking dog in the house, so I have to turn down the volume once in a while. See? Woo!
True to fashion. I mean, you're also talking.
Go ahead.
You're talking about how good they are in the battle, but you also think about it. A lot of these guys, their skill tree is taken from.
I hope you kept going with that one. I was going to get the dog to shut up.
No, I didn't. I paused. Okay, so their skill tree is taken from a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't really take. I don't know many people out there that are taking animal handling, nature, survival. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll take the stuff that helps me out. As a rogue, sleight of hand's huge. Arcana, religion for those other things. And then intimidation. I really don't know very many classes that could take intimidation and then just kind of like raw back it up just by looking at somebody.
And as a DM, if you give me a good enough representation, sometimes I don't even make you roll for certain things like that. So, no, I get what you're saying, but I think that in choosing skills, people definitely, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, they definitely do the side scroll playing. What is the best I could do to be the most powerful, to be and that's a DM problem if they're doing that, and then there's nothing that no animal handling or. I've recently started adding diplomacy back into my games. I think that was a big loss. If you ever hear this, Wizards of the Coast, put that back in the goddamn book. But little things like the skills when they go through their skill checks, and you hit it right on the head. If I'm a rogue, I'm going to push not persuasion, perception, because I want to see what's going on. I might grab an investigation. It's all about finding that thing, or sleight of hand because it's about taking that thing. Where a barbarian, it's like, okay, you take your athletics. All right, what else you got?
Well, one of the things that I look at is a lot of adventures take place in austere environments. That's why you're adventuring, because not a lot of people go to those places.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're a barbarian and all of a sudden you're like, all right, let me skip through the meadow and just beat things up, and I got food for the day, and then you're sitting at that encampment, let the rogue pull guard. You're like, I just got you a bunch of food. I'm gonna take my full rest, and I'm gonna reset my stuff. And if the rogue really wants to talk anything about it, that's where that intimidation check comes in.
Oh yeah, definitely. How you play it definitely makes it awesome. Um, so rage. Let's talk a little bit about that because I know that in some of my games it's confused some people. Excuse me. So there's actually different levels of raging, but at level one you start off with your basic rage, and your basic rage does certain things for you. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. So if you're raging, you basically have the adrenaline push, and it's represented in the die rolls. Some of my guys, though, they'll fail that roll anyway. But having said that, it it definitely brings an aspect to the game. I love it when. Sorry, I'm late. Yeah, no problem, brother. Uh, sorry, I get distracted by the chat. It's easy. Uh, the reason, like you were talking, they when they're raging, they're resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical weapons. Um, all these neat things that they can do right off the bat. Now, you picture that at level one. What's the one thing we all know about level one characters? Is DMs. If we don't keep it low enough, you're dead. And we have to be
Yeah,
careful when selecting because if I have a group of three versus like a group of five, that group of five, I'm going to throw something a little harder in at it because I want it to be harder. And but as we all know, the harder you make, harder a creature is, or a CR rating, or creature rating, the more difficult or more hard that the thing hits as well. So most of these people, if they get hit once, they're gone. Where the
yeah,
barbarian brings that aspect into the game, which is what you were talking about.
yeah. But I mean, you're looking. I would I wouldn't want to come across a group of people that's running a sole group of barbarians. Like, y- barbarians need their support class with them. They need their guys kind of helping them out, keeping them in the fight. Making sure that a little bit of aggro is good. Too much aggro, and all of a sudden, if you get an entire round concentrated on you, yeah, that can be bad. And then everybody else is trying to make up for that.
I'm surprised Tom's not more talkative about this tonight. This was your baby. You did this, jerk face. One of the most interesting things I like about barbarians, though, third level when you pick that primal path, and I always love to see what people are going to grab because everybody has a different reason for it. And I'm not sure if it's core book because I've seen I allow homebrews in some of my games, but the different totems that people can grab, that's one of my favorite aspects.
Yeah.
The guy that you played with, do you know what kind of path he took?
He Gromac the Scarred, Path of the Berserker. So it's just frenzy, reckless attack. Just I'm gonna hit people, and then when he was out of being a barbarian, he was very eloquent and articulate, and you're like, "What's up with this dude?" All of a sudden, just like something snaps, and he just goes at it.
Yeah, sword and board. I like that one. No, yeah, you look through some of these, and like I said, I guess I've just never been like a power player, and I do see barbarians as more as like a power class. But they have cool things. Like let's talk about the reckless strike you talked about. Yeah, they get advantage on their strike. They do a buttload of damage, but in return, any creature that attacks it the next round has advantage on them.
Yeah, which is where the nice part about being resistant to some of that stuff. So if you're coming in and you're fighting a couple little goblins or kobolds, and they're gonna hit you for a little bit of damage, and you're not really worried about it, you can kind of ride that for as long as it goes.
Hmm?
And then you're also looking at danger sense at second level. that thing is awesome. I mean, run up on a mage if you. I mean, you're getting advantage on dexterity saving throws on effects that you can see. So you see that fireball coming, you can roll to get that advantage and only take half damage from that.
Absolutely. Hold on one sec. Actually, go ahead and talk to everybody. There's people in the chat watching you.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Brandy, or check.
So a couple of the other things that I see that are actually pretty good. One of the things that I like is their extra attacks are kind of on par with a fighter. So rolling into that a little bit more. Start helping out and filling that role. Yeah, I wish I had the chat available so that way I could see some stuff.
It never fails in this house. I start streaming something and I have to do something. To be fair, usually I take Thursdays off from any kind of work, but it didn't happen tonight.
Well, I'm sad to hear that.
No, it's all right. It happens. It's a part of just working from home too. If I had an office to go to, what's she gonna do? Call me and ask me to put the dogs away?
Yeah. So I was talking about how barbarians get that extra attack at level 5.
Oh,
Fighters, same thing, they get that attack on level 5.
Yeah, but fighters don't hit half as hard as barbarians do. At least in my games, they must just have really bad rolls then. But if you go back on the streams, you'll see I put. We did a night where I was just off the cuff doing stuff. I wasn't prepared for anything. Again, Tom was supposed to be weird. But anyways, we were playing a game, and I just said, okay, grab 4 characters, whatever you want, as close to level 8 as you've already built. And so just right off the bat, I pulled out my board. I didn't draw anything on it. I put each one of their characters in a corner, and I said, all right, every square is 5 feet. This is the arena. You're at a tournament. The last one standing wins. Go.
See, and that's one of the things that Damien does at the end of his adventures that I really love is sometimes you level up, so you're sitting there and you're like, all right, I want to see how this works, and I want to see how this works against a like-minded person. So we would do this stuff called arena battles, and I was trying to, in Star Wars Saga Edition, I was making a Mandalorian, so it's as much barbarian tanky class as you can get. I was like, oh, I'm just going to roll into this. I've got more hit points than an X-Wing. I've got a higher damage reduction than most like starships that I know. Yeah, I'm basically like this walking, hulking mass, and because of the low wisdom, like I was getting hit by simple stuff, and we had a dude who was like gifted and used the Force, and he would just use, like, he would basically talk you down condition tracks, and I was like, that's horrible. So now I have to figure out another way to get around that.
So translate that to D&D and Barbarian a little bit better, because some of the people that watch do not play the Star Wars tabletop.
All right, so if you have something like a barbarian who's frenzied or raging, and then you throw in something like a second level command spell, and you're like, stop or run over there. I mean, they're gonna be hitting that fear mark, or they're gonna be hitting that mark where they're subjected to things. They don't get. They're gonna be easily mind tricked into doing whatever they need. I mean, as long as the spell is successful and stuff like that. And it just so happened that I was like, oh, I could hit people, I could do a lot of damage, but just words are wiping me out. And I was so mad. I was like, that's the cheapest thing ever. I even thought about rupturing my character's own eardrums so that way he wouldn't B.
Oh,
He wouldn't have to worry about verbal components to anything, hearing anything, because he couldn't hear anything. And then a simple like cure wounds or healing potion would have taken care of that at the end of the battle. So, oh, barbarians also get a shield, which is awesome.
oh yeah. The good question is what kind of weapon you should use, because you see barbarians get the great axe or the long sworded, or I'm a big fan of the spear. I don't know why. Maybe because it's got that 10-foot reach,
Yeah, it
but
helps. Yeah,
I do see the advantage though. You want something that does a lot of damage already, so that you can stack the damage as you go. Because when you think barbarian, you're not thinking tactful.
well, the reason I brought up the shield was because you could use the feat where you have a shield,
Mhm.
and you can gain the advantage on dexterity saving throws for that, as well as being able to hit people, push them prone, and then gain advantage on your weapon attacks for them for being prone next to you.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely. I just when you think of the tactics of a barbarian, it's never, hey, let's strategize, let's figure this out.
yeah, the winds are prevailing from the east. I say we set this ablaze, and then the smoke screen will go through. And now it's I'm gonna run, I'm gonna hit, I'm gonna keep hitting.
And you always hear Leroy Jenkins.
uh,
Diplomacy, I do alter honor as something like that too. I do too. To bring that back to where it was, I think this thing's dumping drop frames pretty hard because my wife's downloading movies. But sorry guys if it's lagging. Doing the best I can over here. Uh, the Where was I going with that? Oh, the diplomacy. Everybody's coming up with a different way of doing it, and the DMG does talk about like an honor system. I'm trying to think of what the other one I was reading was. I think the insanity one was the one I liked the most, but it had nothing to do with diplomacy. I just wish they would just left diplomacy there. And one character was that diplomatic person.
yeah, well, I mean, but then you also, as a DM, kind of have the ability that these players are going on adventures. They're going to be talked about if they leave people alive, and that's one of the things that I've been trying to do in the adventures that I've been playing. Is nobody knows how much of a badass you are if nobody's there to tell the tale. So you have those people coming out spreading about your triumphs and your glories and how easily you did this stuff. Maybe a lot of the stuff coming on down the line is like, you know who I am, you know what I'm here for. All right, maybe we should just make it happen, as opposed to, you know who I am. No, okay, I guess I gotta fight everybody now.
You hear that, Tom? It's okay for you to leave people alive. Tom's got this warlock, and literally we had this one person to question, and he just decided, screw it, I'm just gonna burn his face off with a spell. He's already given up. He was on his knees. he just
Yeah, we had a priest alive hit a goblin in the face because he was racist. Like we could have questioned him. Like, what are we gonna do now?
Now you have your book open, right?
Yeah,
At 5th level, there's like a speed gain when it comes to attacking.
yeah. Your speed increases by 10 feet while you aren't wearing any heavy armor.
Yeah, I always love that one. Just because I had a couple people in a group that would take monks just because they could take off running, and especially at
Yeah.
level 10 when they double their speed. But at level 5, the barbarian can huff it. And all I ever think when I see that is Gimli from Lord of the Rings.
Well, I mean, let's also look at the trait aggressive, being able to take your full movement to get up in somebody's grill, and now you have the ability to hit them. what race is that? I think it's like orc. Yeah, orc has aggressive.
Oh yeah, no, but I love that extra 10 feet when you're not wearing any heavy armor.
Yeah,
And it got gets the wheels turning when you're DMing a game. You're like, huh, maybe I should give people that are wearing heavy armor and they're trying to do something like run. Maybe I'll make them roll for it, see if they can actually do it.
yeah, but the game also does a way of like kind of rules lawyering that and says like if you're wearing this type of armor, your speed's cut by this amount, unless you're like a dwarf, and then that stuff doesn't matter.
See,
It's why Gimli was able to kind of huff it.
and again, certain aspects we've talked about it before. Certain rules. The truth about D&D is you can play it without the rule book. The rule book is a guideline. It's supposed to make it fun. Rules lawyers, it's fine when we're talking about something and we're trying to get a grasp on like how we're going to play it out. But a lot of my games turn out where we have a lot of table rules.
Yeah.
Because like criticals, when old critical used to be you just got your 100% of all the damage that you could do and like an extra d6. When they did this, take 2 rolls of your damage, it just never made sense to me. So I sat down with the other guys that are DMing at my table, and all we said was, fine, roll your damage, times it by 2. One, the game goes by faster, you're not doing as much math. But more importantly, I was coming back around to the barbarians with that. Oh, when I did that fight, Keith had Crondo out. And he was doing like some 30-something damage, and I think the most people were hitting him back for before they hit the resistant was headed in was like 12. And it was just he got a couple crits in the battle, and he was just pretty much laughing his balls off about it.
Punching through people.
Now, when we talk about this, we're kind of going level by level what you get as a barbarian. I think we skipped over like background traits, which I don't know about you. That's a little bit more important to me when it comes to playing a character. Where'd you come from? What are you doing? Why is your character acting the way? I've been known to stop a game. And why is your character doing that? Tell me.
Yeah, what's their motivation?
And I think the book says Outlander, right? On that quick build paragraph thingy at the beginning.
I mean, you got Outlander, you got Hermit. Another good one to kind of throw in there would kind of be like a soldier. Maybe the Vikings were good at this. They had the Berserkers, and they actually sent them out to cause mayhem like before the main party got there. So let's have these people take a bunch of drugs, just run out there, just start wrecking people. And they're like, all right, we won. And all of a sudden the main Viking army is just kind of walking through, and they're like, oh no, now we got to deal with this.
Oh, yeah. And it definitely, if you're playing a barbarian correctly, you're definitely causing chaos on the field. Whatever. It's an ADHD with a lot of power. But yeah, have you ever played characters like higher level? Like, did you ever continue just playing them?
I pretty much maxed out at 16 with a couple of my characters. For the standpoint of like the campaign was done at that point. Everything that needed to be done was done, and everything else was kind of wrapped up in little one shots until the second set of chronicles began, or the second trilogy began.
Yeah, I like the. I was listening to. Man, words tonight are just hard. Gary. Had an interview one time, and he was sitting there, and he said they were talking about max level characters, and he was like, I don't know. I never made it past like 12 because then they go into retirement because they've had enough, and then you create that new character. And it made me think. No, go ahead.
There's something about starting that new character though. After a while, like you got that guy, you know him in and out, and you're like, all right, like with the barbarian, I'm going to rage, and then I'm going to recklessly attack. Okay, it's pretty much your algorithm for every single battle is said and done. And that's why I liked the guy who played Gromac the Scarred, is because some of the best non-battle times he was there, and he was actually like the sane one of the group. When everybody else started talking about this stuff, he was like, "No, let's do this. I think this is a little bit better way to do it." It's like, are you kidding me? You're a pit fighter, and you've won X amount of battles, and you're just this badass, person to be reckoned with, and all of a sudden you're trying to talk the rest of the party into peace. Like, wow. But he was just a really good player, and he kind of added a little bit more to it. Yeah, a couple of the stereotypes that gets me is like the thief at the beginning of the adventure that tries to steal everybody else's gear, and it's like, why does it have to be like that?
I missed the 2E kits. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
And you would be like, because there were like the rogue ones especially. There was like an artist rogue. He wasn't trying to steal stuff to steal stuff. He was taking the jobs that people said were impossible just to do them.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, kind of diverging from, the whole barbarian into rogue. But rogues are more than just like cut purses and stuff like that. Sometimes they're professionals. They break into places. They do stuff. And then if you combine a rogue and a barbarian, getting the sneak attack bonus from having flanked somebody.
Oh my gosh! And if you get high enough, taking the assassin.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, Tom, I got a great idea for the next game you DM.
That's like the 5-finger palm punch of death.
Yeah, I think for me especially, I like the out of battle concepts because you hit it on the head. Once you get going with your character, you get an algorithm and you do the same thing in and out, in and out, in and out. As a rogue, you're gonna use your bonus action to hide unless you're trying to accomplish another goal. You're going to then come out and sneak attack at the beginning. You're not going to strike somebody if you're an assassin rogue. You're definitely going to hit somebody who hasn't moved yet or had their turn yet before you, so that you can get that auto crit. And warlocks, you're just going to go straight for that eldritch blast, and you're just going to build that. You get into these algorithms of things, and I think with barbarians, even if you get into a quote unquote algorithm, you can it's always different. They're not going to go out and always strike the biggest guy. Sometimes they go into rage and they just strike somebody near them. I can't remember who it was. We had a guy that would roll a d20 just to see if he would swing at just the nearest person, which sometimes was their teammates. But they add a different aspect to the game, because a barbarian being played correctly is definitely unpredictable.
Yeah.
Anything else about... I wish Tom was here. I'm sorry his computer wasn't working. He definitely has played 2 or 3 barbarians in some of my games, and he is hilarious at it. If you don't believe me, on the stream, there's one, DM Doc's Nightmare. Watch him play Grok. Grok was in the Nightmare Tower. Literally, the building's alive. There's blood everywhere. There's all this evil stuff going on, and he's joyfully walking up to doors and knocking on them. And he's, Grok here.
It's like the best version of Trick or Treat ever.
Now, you said you've seen it. Have you ever thought about playing a barbarian, or what was it that you haven't rolled one yet?
Usually because about the time I get there, like almost everybody who has like first dibs, like that's what they want to do, because that's like the showcase. That's like, look at what I can do at first level. And it's like, all right, I'll complement that by playing a more cerebral problem-solving character. So that way, when these things happen and you hit that frenzy and you can't concentrate on anything, it's like, all right, here you go. Perfect example, like my Warlock that I was playing in D21 Gaming. I took flight, and then once I hit it to where I could spend it as a 4th level spell, I just cast it on my allies, and they would go and fly and hit things. They had a flight speed of 60, so that's way faster than on ground. And if you can imagine like a paladin, a barbarian, and like a cleric and a warlock just like flying at you full speed and then just like causing havoc, that's pretty much where it was at. So, oh, and then we had another same Gromac the Scarred was jacked up with Melanea the Pirate Queen, who was played by another really great player, and she would actually cast Enlarge on him, so he got that extra 1d4. So, I mean, like I said, it takes a village to raise a child, but to like buff up a barbarian, keep him in the fight, yeah, the priest was healing word, cure light wounds. If they went down and succumbed to stuff, spare the dying, so that way we could kind of get them back up after everything was said and done. But yeah, he was definitely our like, all right, point aggro this way, go. Like this person said bad things about your mom, like attack them.
Yeah, we would do that with Grok. All right, so I think we I mean, anybody wants to learn more about the Barbarian and you look it up and you have any questions, obviously shoot Tom an email at strippingdowndnd@gmail.com or Tom at brosanddragons.com. But we got Doc Norman on here because I don't know how many times we could drag him on last second like we did tonight. Let's hit some of the common questions. Favorite edition and why?
All right, so I got to say this new edition that I'm playing, 5th, I like it because it rolls second in, and 4th edition kind of played a lot like WoW to me. It was like a role-playing version of WoW, and I didn't like the instant encounters, dailies, utilities, all that other stuff. Yeah, I think that taking a lot of the flavor text out and giving the power back to the players to kind of make their own glory was pretty good.
I heard 5e is the edition that took 3.5 and streamlined it. That's what I keep hearing.
And yeah, I would have to agree wholeheartedly with that.
All right. Favorite tabletop / board game of all times?
Just for simplicity of play and the fact that nobody had to be the DM or the GM at that time, there was this game that came out. It was like zombies with 3 exclamation points. I'm a huge fan of like everything that has to do with zombie apocalypse. I've actually dedicated pretty much my entire left arm to the zombie apocalypse. And it's just one of those, everybody takes a turn and then you lay tiles and then you go around as shotgun dudes and like you have goals that you have to do and make it out. It's a game that you could throw down anywhere, play, and it's just fun because nobody has to be the GM. Everybody works. There's common rules and stuff like that. And there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek pop culture references in it.
Nice. I would have taken House on a Hill. Betrayal?
Yeah.
That's a great one. Let's see. We hit that one. Favorite video game of all times and why?
Favorite video game? I think, and I'm going to have to go with this one, probably Fallout 3, because it wrapped in a beautiful universe that I'd known about because of Fallout 1 and 2, but then it added the ability for me to have that first-person shooter mechanic, and I was like, oh, if I was actually doing this, I would have hid here, or I would have done this. There's no way that they would have hit me with it, and it still had the karma system. To me, which is intricate in, like, the development of a character is how do you interact with the world, and how does the world view you? Do they view you as a wasteland messiah, or do they view you as Satan? Like, that's... It's that dynamic. Am I going to nuke Megaton, or am I going to disarm the bomb and tell Tenpenny Tower that they can shove it? Like, where do you go with that? And the ability to have people react accordingly. Like, some people won't like you. That's one of the things about Fallout 4 that just kind of got me is you do whatever, and your companions view you a little bit differently, but the world doesn't view you differently about what you do.
Demon King says hello, Doc, which I find to be hilarious because both of us are here. I didn't know there was another option besides nuking Megaton.
Yeah, you can because you're gonna get the quest line from Mr. Smith, and then you're gonna be like, you can nuke Megaton. You can go to the bomb. You can take the mentats that are nearby. I forget where you get them, and then you can choose to disarm it instead of arm it. And then when you go up there, Alacaster Tenpenny gets angry and he tries to kick you out of the tower.
Yeah, no, I was kidding. I just always blew the town up because it was fun. Um, the same as the first thing I did ever since I found it was go find the alien spaceship.
You get that blaster.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Favorite the book. What's your favorite book and why?
That's actually non-game related whatsoever. Alcoholica Esoterica,
Oh,
or
nice.
or the Modern Drunkard, because I love alcohol and I love making alcohol and I love learning about alcohol.
There you go. Well, everybody's got to have a hobby. We can't just play games all the time.
Yep.
And then one more and I'll let you go. The one guilty pleasure you wish you didn't think about right this second that you do that a lot of people don't know you like.
Probably putting YouTube on while I'm making food and then having stuff that people normally don't think that I listen to, like hardcore rap music or pop music. I get down to some Taylor Swift while I'm making some scrambled eggs.
There you go.
The woman's beautiful and a genius.
I just want to say thanks for coming out short notice and helping us get at least something out. Like I said, I want to apologize for Tom. He is just having some major computer issues, and he's going to get in touch soon with his cable company because he's getting major drops to like 2 gigs or something like that. So he's having so many issues. I'm not doing too hot tonight, even though it looks like the last half of the stream is doing well. Your one chance to plug anything you want. I will not interrupt you. I will not make fun of you and talk about how a lower DM is playing a game with you on something.
I'm not going to plug that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you haven't found it yet, go and download Range 15 off of Amazon and watch it immediately. Guys who are in the military will absolutely love it. Within 5 minutes of watching it, my SEAL Team 6 went to SEAL Team 7.5. Like, it's amazing. And to get it as a digital download, just pure, unkept joy washing over my face. It was a Tuesday, but I drank like it was a Friday night. It made it for a very hard PT session the next day.
So yeah, why don't you go ahead and plug the D21 Gaming? It is one of we definitely push and sponsor you guys, so go for it.
All right, D21 Gaming. It's gaming with a +1 confidence. Damien's an absolutely amazing guy. He comes up with this stuff that's insane. I've had so many WTF moments that I can't even count. But somehow he keeps it fresh, he keeps it relevant. And the thing that I love about it, everybody feels like they contribute during the adventure. There's no time that I'm like, why did I make this character? Why is my character here? There's always a spot for everybody to kind of do something and shine through.
Yeah, he definitely is the second best DM on the internet. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Well, when we get together, hopefully on the 3rd, we can kind of squash those rumors. All I know is that when he said it, he was like, it's not about who wins or loses. Right. This is about, like, how much fun this is going to be. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, Damien, this goes back, and I'll just take up a little time on this one. A friend of the company, Chris Knox, was doing a 24-hour live stream raising money for Operation Supply Drop. And we got on there, and Damien was on there, and I mentioned, I was the greatest DM, and he says, I don't know about that. We went back and forth. Or no, he said, thank you, I think. And we went back and forth a little bit. That actually caused us to have a friendship. We realized we actually don't live that far from each other. In fact, we're trying to do that whole face-to-face thing here before I go to Seattle and I move 2,000 miles away. But it turned into this big joke, and at one point I was like, you know what? Let's turn this into a charity event. And let's have a lot of fun with this. And so we sat down and we hashed it out, and we came up with no holes barred homebrew. We came up with brand new lands. We're actually working together trying to have a place to play where nobody has ever seen. We are looking, I know I am looking, I don't know about him so much, at creating homebrew monsters that nobody's ever seen. But I asked my two friends originally that I didn't ask them because of their prowess in D&D. I actually asked them because both of them are professional voice actors. And comedians. Awesome. Yeah. And so we'll still have a great time because Sam lives in Australia and they have the Marvel-less show that they're producing. He's in it, where they're taking the Marvel universe and creating a parody comedy on stage, which is going to be amazing. I wish I lived in Australia to see it. But yeah, he was on it. He was going to do it, but then the time difference hit us. So you guys will enjoy Kylie. She's amazing, awesome. She is a great D&D player, understands it, but she definitely goes off the beaten path a lot and keeps me on my toes when we play. So, but yeah, we got that charity event coming. What it is just the donations will go towards who you think is the better DM as we play. We're going to play a version of The Gods Must Be Crazy, in that one of us will plan an adventure and start it for 2 hours. And then the other one will take over, and the only knowledge they'll have of anything is literally listening to the other person DM.
And then also it benefits a great cause, MS.
2 great causes. We're doing MS and Child's Play.
All right.
Child's Play is a great organization that actually gets games, game systems, and games and game systems to kids that are going through tough diseases in hospitals, ICUs, those kind of things. You can look it up if you have anything else. It's definitely it was an idea, a brainchild of Penny Arcade. So, but
well,
yeah,
now I'm just gonna have to give twice as much now. 2 great causes.
Oh, and they're amazing. And yeah, the MS one definitely got me going too. But let's go ahead and cut this one. We're at the 9 o'clock level. Again, Doc Norman, thank you for coming out. That was great of you to take time at the last second. You guys don't understand what I mean by last second. Literally 10 minutes before we started streaming, I reached out and he said, yeah, go ahead. And well, Damien reached out. I reached out and he said, yeah, shoot me the link. Let's talk some D&D. So that was awesome. From all the guys at Bros and Dragons Incorporated, from all the guys at Bros and Dragons group on Facebook, and from Tom, Typo, and the rest of the Stripping Down D&D group, I want to tell you to keep it nerdy and always live your dreams.